Hello, everyone. Welcome back to 3 News Now. I'm Stephanie Haney. It's Monday, August 3rd, and we are about to get you up to speed with everything you need to know here in Northeast Ohio. I hope everyone had an incredible weekend. I have to tell you, I spent the entire weekend geeking out over my new audio setup, which I'm using right now. So hopefully you notice a little bit of a difference in how the audio sounds. I definitely do. It made me very happy. It brought me a lot of joy, and I hope all of you found something over what was kind of a dreary weekend to bring you some joy. Here's what we're going to get you up to speed with now for your Monday to get you ready for the work week, to get you ready for the week in general. There are demonstrations happening from people who are not happy about the fall sports situation in high school athletics. Also, conversations about in-person learning versus online learning. We'll tell you what's going on there. The Ohio Department of Health issued new guidelines for contact sports, and the Ohio High School Athletic Association has something to say about that. We'll tell you what that is, and also what all of you think about the Ohio Department of Health guidelines related to contact sports. We'll also give you a quick recap of the COVID-19 numbers over the weekend, let you know what Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is doing that has Vince McMahon trending on Twitter right here in Cleveland. It's a Cleveland trend right now, and we'll let you know how Cedar Point ranks among a new poll of the best amusement parks. First up, we'll let you know what's happening this morning in North Royalton. There was a rally outside of North Royalton Middle School with students and parents. So at this rally, these people are calling for classes to resume with in-person learning and for fall sports to move forward. Now, North Royalton was one district that suspended fall sports activities and all extracurricular activities on Friday. This is until there is a finalized plan for reopening. So did Garfield Heights on the recommendation of the Cuyahoga County Board of Health. Now, there are multiple rallies like this planned this week as more and more schools start announcing that they will be starting the school year with online learning only. Now, not all schools are doing that. Some schools are having in-person classes and some schools are having a hybrid model, but there are more and more demonstrations that we're learning about happening as people try and figure out what it's going to look like when school starts and what it's going to look like for fall sports activities, which are starting right now. Now, along those lines, the Ohio High School Athletic Association on Friday gave its blessing for fall sports to move forward, starting on Saturday, August 1st, with those practices. But like we just said, some schools are not following along with that because when it comes to a yes to fall sports, the Ohio High School Athletic Association is not necessarily the final word. Now, if they had said no, that would be different because a no is final, but schools can opt out on their own. They don't have to have the fall sports. So, the Ohio Department of Health has now updated guidelines about safety protocols and spectators related to contact sports. Those ODH guidelines say that there has to be a COVID-19 test administered for each athlete and team staff member 72 hours or less from the start of a match. And the results of those tests have to be in hand prior to that competition starting. ODH has also ruled no spectators at contact sports. They clarified that contact sports include football, basketball, rugby, field hockey, soccer, lacrosse, wrestling, hockey, boxing, futsal, and martial arts with opponents. By the way, to clarify this as well, that means no fans at Ohio State and no fans at Browns games because those are football, my friends. So you all are reacting to this. We have a reaction piece up online on WKYC.com. Here's what you're saying to the testing requirement and also just to the lack of uniformity on this decision about fall sports. Adrian Cole wants to know, who's going to pay for this? Because testing all of the athletes and staff and athletic trainers every single week before a matchup, maybe multiple times if there are multiple matchups for some of these events during the week, that's going to cost a lot of money. And she wants to know who's going to pay for that. The schools, the parents. Schools are already trying to figure out how to pay for hand sanitizer and those kinds of things. Now, Holly Jackson wants her kids to play and she wants them to do it now. She says that she is pleading with OHSAA to fight for the kids and for the mental health of those kids and to put them on the field, saying that none of this makes sense and there is no rhyme or reason to the way the situation is currently being handled. If you ask Abby Davis, she says just push it back. She says cancel it already, move the season to the spring. There's no reason for this roller coaster of emotions for coaches and kids and parents. And she didn't say where she lived, but she said she's in a county that currently has 0 cases, so that is wonderful. Even in her case, though, she says this is unbelievably frustrating. She wants a season no matter when it is, and she's willing to wait for the spring in order for that to happen with some certainty and some uniformity. And then there is Kim Costa, who says someone just needs to take control here. She says, Governor Mike DeWine, you better start to engage in meaningful leadership. The citizens of Ohio are about to be at each other's throats over school and sports. Well, they already are at each other's throats. She says that they just keep kicking the can down the road. It's not safe, and someone needs to lead. You can check out more reactions on WKYC.com and in our WKYC app. Let's go ahead and give you a weekend recap of the COVID-19 numbers. We'll get into these more in depth when we get the new numbers this afternoon from the Ohio Department of Health, but here's the numbers that came in over the weekend. And a quick note on this, by the way, when we get these numbers reported into the Ohio Department of Health, there is a lag on the reporting data. The most up-to-date, the most real-time data is the number of current hospitalizations and the number of current ICU patients. But the other data, like new cases reported and new deaths reported, that is coming in at a bit of a delay. So something that I have noticed over the past several weeks is the numbers do seem to be lower on the weekends. That could possibly be because there's even more of a delay in those numbers coming in over the weekends. I'm going to reach out to the Ohio Department of Health and get a follow-up on that because that is something that I have specifically noticed. So with that in mind, the number of new cases over the weekend was less than 1,000 reported each day. So there was a total, it was just under 1,000. They were in the 900s each day on both Saturday and Sunday. We saw 1,872 new cases of COVID-19 reported over the weekend, bringing our total number of cases here in Ohio to just over 93,000. And the Ohio Department of Health is reporting that 73.5% of those cases are likely presumed to be recovered. Now, on the flip side of that, that means that more than 1/4 of the cases, more than 1/4 of those total 93,000 cases we've had here in the state of Ohio dating back to March are active right now, 26.5% to be exact. Over the weekend, there were 40 new deaths reported. Again, that does not mean that 40 people died over the weekend. It just means that there were 40 deaths reported over the weekend. Also, relatively high for what we've seen for weekend numbers of new deaths reported. Last weekend, there was a day when there were 0 new deaths reported. As of right now, there are 1,049 people who are currently in the hospital with COVID-19 and 334 people who are currently in the ICU with COVID-19. Now to switch gears, we're going to talk about sports in a different realm. Vince McMahon is trending on Twitter in Cleveland today because The Rock just bought the XFL. This was first reported by Sportico that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is now part of a group that has purchased the XFL, which was originally founded by WWE chairman Vince McMahon. Here's a fun fact, by the way. Early in his career, Vince McMahon and WWE actually owned the rights to the name The Rock. So if you saw Vince McMahon as an executive producer on films where The Rock was involved, that was why, because there was ownership of the name The Rock. Well, now that table is kind of turning, and The Rock is now part owner, reportedly, of the XFL. McMahon founded the XFL more than 20 years ago. It had one season in 2001. We saw that relaunch this year. There was a lot of excitement about it. It was sort of reimagined, reinvigorated, but it shut down very quickly in the spring because of COVID-19. And then, after more than 20 years of controlling the brand, bankruptcy was declared and the XFL was basically shut down. So, reports are now that The Rock bought it with investment firm Redbird Capital for $15 million. The Rock said in a press release that this is all about two things for him: his passion for the game and his desire to always take care of the fans. Here's a fun fact for you as well. The XFL gave us things that we now see in the NFL, like aerial sky cams and on-player microphones. So we have the XFL to thank for those things, which definitely enhances the football viewing experience. So maybe for the XFL, the third time is a charm. I guess we'll have to wait and see what The Rock and Redbird Capital does with XFL 3.0. Here in Northeast Ohio, we also have good news for Cedar Point. It has been ranked America's second best amusement park. Second best is pretty darn good. This is in USA Today's annual 10 Best Fan Poll. First place went to Silver Dollar City in Branson, Missouri. There also were some other pretty high rankings for Cedar Point. Cedar Point's Steel Vengeance was ranked best roller coaster in America on the 10 best list. Now, Steel Vengeance is the roller coaster that replaced the Mean Streak in 2018. I rode the Mean Streak so many times growing up. That was always the big deal. My older brother Jason and I would ride it all the time. Mean Streak was all wood. Steel Vengeance is a hybrid of wood and steel, and it is the world's tallest and fastest hybrid roller coaster. It also has the steepest drop, which is 90 degrees, the longest drop, which is 200 feet, and the most air time, which is 27.2 seconds of any hybrid roller coaster. And when it comes to lodging, Cedar Point's Hotel Breakers ranked number 2 for Best Amusement Park Hotel, with first place going to Universal's Aventura Hotel in Orlando. So Northeast Ohio making a pretty good showing. Fan poll. Here, something early. Monday, August 3rd. At 3 p.m.